The Roar of the Small, Tale of the Lion Prince. Author, Galip. Uçar. Part 1. The Cub with No Roar. Once upon a time, in a sun-dappled corner of the vast and whispering savanna forest, a lion cub named Lumo was born under the brightest full moon the forest had seen in decades. The trees rustled as if they were clapping in celebration, and the stars blinked joyfully in the night sky. All the animals in the forest knew that the birth of a lion under such a moon was a sign of destiny. But no one knew what kind of destiny it would be. Lumo was the youngest of 4 cubs born to Queen Nara and King Thambo, the reigning lion monarchs of the Great Golden Pride. His older siblings, Tandu, Bazi, and Kima, were strong, loud, and fearless. They pounced on each other with fierce energy, practiced their roars, and learned the ancient ways of their ancestors with pride and discipline. But Lumo was different. He was smaller, quieter, and he couldn't roar, not even a little growl. Whenever he tried, only a soft squeak would come out, like a bird caught in a hiccup. His siblings laughed and sometimes nudged him out of their play. Other animals whispered in the tall grass, "A lion who cannot roar is no lion at all." King Thambo tried to be patient. "He is young," he told the elders. "The roar will come." But Queen Nara looked into her youngest cub's eyes that shimmered with something deeper than sound, and said, "Perhaps his voice is not loud, but meant to echo in other ways." Part 2. The Whisper of Leaves. As months passed, Lumo grew in body, but his voice remained quiet. He still couldn't roar. While the other young lions practiced their battle stances and war cries under the hot midday sun, Lumo wandered through the outer edges of the territory, listening to the forest. It spoke to him in ways no one else seemed to notice. He could hear the secrets of the wind through the tall grass, the warnings in the bird calls, and the gossip of the ants as they marched in great lines across the forest floor. He learned where the old elephant trails led and which trees bent slightly to show where water hid underground. One evening, while following the soft chime of cicadas, Lumo came across a wise old chameleon named Moro who sat perfectly still on a faded tree trunk. "You walk quietly, young lion," Moro said, blinking one eye at a time. "That is a gift many kings never learn." "I'm not a king," Lumo whispered. "I can't even roar." Moro's tail curled thoughtfully. Roars echo loudest when there is silence to listen. But true power lies not in noise, it lies in understanding. Lumo didn't fully understand, but he bowed respectfully and continued his wandering. Part 3. The Shadow in the North. Trouble arrived in the northern borders of the forest. A pack of rogue hyenas, led by the cunning and cruel Skaro, began stealing food, tearing apart nests, and harassing the smaller animals. Skaro had once lived in the deeper desert beyond the forest, but drought and fire had pushed his pack south. King Thambo sent his guards to drive the hyenas back, but the invaders were clever. They moved like smoke, raiding at night and disappearing into thickets by dawn. Even the bravest lion warriors couldn't catch them. One evening, the Council of Elders gathered beneath the flame tree of memory. Tensions were high. "We need a bold attack," growled General Kavi. "We need to protect the little ones," chirped Tika the parrot. "We need a miracle," sighed Queen Nara. And from the shadows behind them, a small voice said, "I can find them." Heads turned, gasps spread. It was Lumo. "You," chuckled Bazi, one of his brothers. "You don't even have a roar." But King Thambo looked closely. "Why do you say that, son?" Lumo stepped into the moonlight. "Because I've been listening. I know the bird calls that go silent when danger comes. I know the dry leaves that crunch under careless paws. I know the secret ways of the wind. I can follow them." The council murmured. At last, the king said, "Then go. But take care, and take no one with you. Silence must walk alone." Part 4. The Path of Shadows. Lumo walked for 3 days and nights, resting only when the stars were brightest. He drank dew and ate berries. He followed footprints, droppings, broken branches, and disturbed nests. He found strange marks carved into trees, a sign of the hyena's rough language. One night, he reached a dark, marshy clearing where the stench of decay clung to the air. He saw the flicker of eyes. The hyenas were here, dozens of them. Lumo crouched behind a rock and watched silently. He saw their leader Scarrow laughing and bullying a captured raccoon. He saw the plan scratched in dirt, an attack on the eastern valley at dawn. The valley of the herds, home to zebras, antelopes, and the gentle buffalo clans. He had to warn them, but before he could leave, a twig snapped under his paw. Scarrow's ears perked. Intruder! He barked. Find them! Lumo ran, fast, silent, like wind over stone. Part 5. The Call of the Silent King. By sunrise, Lumo reached the eastern valley. He was exhausted, muddy, and breathless. They're coming, he said. Today, from the north. The buffalo guards were skeptical. You expect us to believe a cub? But Lumo looked around, saw the birds circling in warning, the way the morning wind turned slightly bitter, and said, they're already here. And just then, howls echoed across the trees. Scarrow's pack charged. The valley shook with hooves and roars. The herd scattered. Panic spread. The lion guard hadn't arrived yet. It was too soon. Lumo saw a group of frightened antelope trapped against a cliff. Hyenas approached, teeth bared. Without thinking, he leapt between them. He tried to roar. Nothing came out. The hyenas laughed, but Lumo didn't back down. Instead, he did what he knew best. He moved, dodged, distracted, guided the prey to a narrow path he'd remembered from his wanderings. A secret trail behind the rocks. The antelopes escaped. Other animals, seeing this, began to follow Lumo's signals. He pawed the ground where traps lay. He flicked his tail in warning when the wind changed. He used bird calls to confuse the hyenas and send false alarms. The battle turned. When the lion guard finally arrived, Scarrow's pack was already in retreat. And in the final moments, Lumo stood atop a stone, mud-caked and tired, and let out a sound. It wasn't a roar. It was deeper, older, stranger, like the forest itself humming through him, and all fell silent to hear it. Part 6. Crown of Leaves, Heart of Fire. When Lumo returned to the flame tree, the council awaited him. Animals from across the forest had come. Even the silent owls of the east and the sly foxes of the southern caves. King Thambo stood beside him. I have ruled for many seasons, he said. But today, the forest has chosen a new voice. He turned to his son. Not the loudest, not the strongest, but the wisest. The one who hears before he speaks. The one who leads without shouting. The one who roared, not with sound, but with courage. The animals roared for him. And beneath the tree, Queen Nara placed upon his brow not a crown of gold, but a garland of leaves and riverstone, symbols of his bond with the earth. And Sir, the little lion who could not roar became Lumo the listener, king of the forest. His rule was long and just, and the forest sang his name for generations. The end.